We're recording.
That we are.
Yeah.
Becky Rogers, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, my friend.
Hello.
Most people probably already know, but you and Adam are both on the Training Think Tank staff, which means the only married couple. And look, Jordan watches these, so I got to be careful with what I say. Yeah. But I don't know what that dynamic would be like if both Jordan and I worked for the same company. So what has that been like for you over the last, 6, 7 years, however long it's been?
Oh, man. I mean, it's not even that. It's like back even when we were living in Ohio.
That's so true.
We have been working together, 10, 12 years probably. Yeah. But it's funny because everybody would ask, what's it like working with Adam? And we don't really ever work together, you know? Right. Even when we were in Ohio, we had kids, we owned a gym. I would be there in the morning, he would be with the kids, and then we'd switch. Yeah. So it's like, I don't really see him. That's what it's like.
It may be better that way.
Yeah, no. And I think every year is like a new thing with us, and we learn and grow and evolve as a couple. And Adam and Becky from, 12 years ago are very different people than they are now. Yeah. And 12 years ago, we would not have gotten along as well as we do now. You know what I mean? We just grow and learn about each other. And yeah, so now it's like, I love it. He's my person. Yeah. I could not do anything without him. But when we were younger, we were both like young, and I was very stubborn.
Green, naive.
You know, we're just like, I know better. And what are you? And so.
So I would actually love to hear the meetup story of Adam and Becky first. I know this isn't where you wanted to start the podcast.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
You know, I brought Adam up, but he's one of my favorite people. So I would love to know, you guys, I am assuming, met at school to some degree, and you were both engineering degrees? Yeah, so we went to college together. Okay. A D3 school, it's called Case Western Reserve University. It's up in Cleveland.
Is 3 bad?
D3, it's just not an athletic focus.
You want D1.
D1 is athletic focus. That's money you get paid to go there. D3 is it's academic focus. You get money from SAT scores.
And D2 is quack.
It's in between, I guess. I think it could be serious. I mean, any school can be serious or not.
Well,
serious,
now things are changing rapidly because of the new NIL rules, which for those that don't follow college athletics, basically you can get paid now from outside sources, outside of the school, based on your name, image, and likeness, which, I mean, there's a whole bunch that goes into that, but that's going to change all of the divisions.
Yeah, I mean, this is 20 years ago,
totally different.
My SAT scores got me a half scholarship, and I was like, all right, that's where I'm going. My whole high school, college, I was thinking about like my life these last couple of days, and where I started in college, never would have dreamed this is where I ended up, right? Like I went to school for engineering. I have a master's degree in mechanical engineering. Adam has a bachelor's in electrical engineering. So we went to this small school up in Cleveland. Adam's older sister went there. So that's why he went there. Okay. She went there. She's 2 years older than us. Her name is Sarah. She's an important person in our lives. So hi, Sarah, because I'm probably going to mention her a lot. So she played soccer too. Adam and I both played soccer. And it's funny because Sarah set me up with somebody else. I had a boyfriend for like 3 years. She set him up with somebody else. Like we'd always known each other because we played soccer together. And the way our conference was set up is we would travel to games. So we played down in Emory, we played in Chicago, we played in Massachusetts, and the teams would travel together. So we would fly, we'd ride buses, stay at hotels. So we all knew each other. Like the boys and girls soccer teams were around each other all the time. And, we were both engineers. So we had like freshman classes together, right? Like in these huge lecture halls. I'm like, I knew who he was. The freshman dorms were all together. So we would like see each other. But
before you go on, the first time that you saw him, did you think he was cute?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so you had your eye on him.
No, because I would always be like, Adam Rogers. Like, I had always thought that he was
I still think
cute.
He's handsome.
Yeah, for sure. He's only gotten better with age, Brandon.
He's like a fine wine.
Serious, yeah. So, his Sarah, his older sister, 2 years older, we played soccer together. I was closer with her than with him for, a long time. And we were dating other people. He was in a fraternity. It's a funny story because the girls soccer team, we were like our own like sorority. We did not do that stuff. We were like our own little group together. So we would go to, parties and whatnot together, but we didn't actually I don't even know how to describe it, but we didn't start talking to each other really until senior year. And this was back in the day of AOL Instant Messenger. Do you guys remember that? Did you guys use that? Or am I like that old?
Most people that are listening have no clue.
Nobody knows what that is, right? Another, to put it in perspective.
Crystal has his.
I remember the day AIM came out, because you used to just have AOL, and then one day out of nowhere at the top, it was like AIM because it was built into AOL at first.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like, add an address. And I was 9 at the time. So I added my friend Luke's home address, not knowing what the hell it was. And then it wasn't until like a month later, I was like, oh.
Yeah. No, I like in high school, we would go home after school and like wait for the dial-up internet. And like,
believe it.
Ding, ding,
but
ding.
like, and this is Facebook. It was new when I was in college. Like, this is how old we are, right? So we would talk on AOL. Everybody knew they would talk on AOL. And it was during the season. We would kind of like see each other a lot more often. And I would like notice that he would be like around a little bit more often. And we would just talk, and we would talk on AOL.
Pause. What was your screen name?
Becky 1818.
Weak. What was his?
Butter 176.
Oh, way better.
Right? Because he's smooth like butter. I know.
Original buttery bro.
I know. And then this is one of those memories in my life that like I can picture perfectly, right? Like I'm at my apartment. We had been talking on Instant Messenger for months, right? And I remember typing, "Do you ever want to hang out in person?" And
like,
he just,
not on the
How long
internet.
did it take you to send it? Were you sweating?
Oh, no, I think I was good. I think I was
Okay.
like, let's do this. And then he just wrote back, yes, in all capital letters. And that was the
And
beginning.
that's how Owen was born.
That's
how it started.
Instantly.
And I think if you ask him, he will say that he probably made the first move. But I was like, no,
That's
it's
so weak.
me.
Come on, Adam.
Yeah. And then we just
Good for you.
We just started hanging out. Hang out in college terms, which is like go to the dorm and watch a movie or like play beer pong in the hallway. Yeah.
Not much has changed there in the last 20 years. It's all the same.
Yeah. That was how we started.
That's awesome. I want to get back to that, but you brought it up a few minutes ago. You talked about how like you had one life path, and obviously all of these decisions play into kind of where you're at right now, meeting Adam, and then the path that you guys go on, which I'm interested in. But you were an engineering degree, and now you're working at Training Think Tank. Did you ever at that time have any passion, have any thought that you would ever be a trainer or a coach or a nutritionist, anything that you're doing right now?
No, I think that was my problem is I didn't really have a passion.
Right.
I think I was good at things. I was good at math and I was good at science.
Yeah.
And my dad is an engineer. So it's like, all right, that's what I'll do. And that's kind of how school was. I did things that came easy to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't I wasn't like, oh, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And that's kind of where my struggles came after college was I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to sit at a desk and design things 9 to 5 and then go home. I didn't want to do that. So my next thought was, well, why don't I teach it? I like learning about it. I like the subjects. Like, why don't I teach it? So I applied to go to grad school. And that was just kind of a really uninformed way of doing it. I wanted the best grad school. So I top 5 list of grad schools and I applied to Georgia Tech. So I lived down here for a bit in their master's program. But what got me excited about engineering in college was like airplanes. And when I worked in the wind tunnel lab, which I thought was the coolest thing ever, right? Just airplanes flying has always been the cool. I think ever since it was Top Gun, that movie got me like, airplanes are so cool. So that's what I did in undergrad. I moved down here. Again, I just picked the school that was a good school. It was the best school. And I worked in heat transfer, which is not exciting. It was not exciting to me. Thinking about let's shoot airplanes off into the sky versus let's see what a little ball of wax does when you like shoot a laser at it. That was not like interesting to me. And you could tell, my advisors could tell, everybody could tell that
Something's wrong with this girl. She doesn't like the heat.
Yeah, no, I was just not, I was not motivated, and I was at Georgia Tech. Adam actually moved down to be with me after he graduated. Georgia Tech, Case Western, I would describe it as kind of like being a big fish in a small pond. It was smaller and school, it was easy. The curve is what saved all of us from all of our classes, right? You're on the good end of the curve, you pass. Georgia Tech, I was a very small fish in a very big pond. And it didn't I did not do well. I was not motivated. The things I was learning, I did not like. And Adam didn't know anybody down here. So we ended up moving up to Dayton by his family. I transferred to Wright State, and it was kind of the same stuff. It was just not, he transferred. It was not exciting to me, but that's all they had there. We moved up to be near families so that we could kind of like have a support system. Right. So then the master's program was kind of coming to an end, and I could decide, I could have kept doing more research. I wanted to get my PhD. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach, but my advisors, they could tell. They were just like, you should stop here.
You're not passionate about it.
And that I remember having that conversation with them. I remember putting stuff, I packed up my desk and I went home, and it was way earlier than it should have been. And I just cried. I was a failure, basically. This is what I set out to do, and I did not do it. And I had no idea what I should do next. I felt, just awful.
It's funny that we kind of go down that path. I think everyone, they fall into what they're good at, but you only know what you're good at if it's something that you've been exposed to.
Yeah.
So in your 100%. Life, you were exposed to those things because of your father or other family members. Yeah. Same thing for me with the things the path that I went down originally.
Yeah.
But until you explore and almost get to express yourself through decisions that you make, you don't really know what you're passionate about. And you don't really know what you're good at. So I think everyone has to go down that path at some point.
No, I mean, I've read a bunch of books, what we do for our jobs, and we read books about how to motivate people and how to help people reach their potential. And reading those books has helped me kind of reflect on that. And honestly, the way that I think about it now is nothing is ever really a failure if you learn from it and if it helps you make other decisions in the future. You only fail if you literally quit and don't ever do anything else, right. So that experience helped shape what I ended up doing now, right? So that it kind of made me have to think about, what do I like to do, and what is something that I'll get excited about doing every day. And that was, at that point, Adam had been getting into CrossFit more with his brother-in-law. So I kind of did it here and there, but I liked training. We played soccer in college, so I'd always been athletic. I was helping his sister coach a high school girls team, and I liked coaching and I liked training. So that kind of helped lead me toward the path of CrossFit. It's most of the decisions after Adam and I got together have been because of Adam. He's just helped me find things like that. So we had a bunch of stuff in our garage, a bunch of training stuff. We didn't park in there anymore. We had our little garage gym, and that's where we started, right?
What year is this?
Oh man, I was trying to think, right?
Ballpark.
It's probably, I'm trying to think of when I graduated. It's probably, and then we got married in 2007. So around there, 2007, 2008-ish. So yeah, we were just training in the garage. We went and got our L1 CrossFit certification. And
it's so funny that I think all of the coaches that work for Training Think Tank, probably everyone loved training, but it came from a pursuit of something else. So for you, it was soccer, and you love the concepts of just getting yourself better at the sport. And then obviously, like you said, you were a coach. Same thing for me. I know same thing for Kyle Ruth. He was a coach for a ton of swimmers, and then that got him into the training concepts that he obviously fell in love with and then continued to pursue. And I think every coach here has had some coaching experience outside of this sport that's led them to what we're doing now. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you see the impact you can make on people.
Exactly.
And I think it also helps you learn about yourself too.
I agree.
Yeah. And so once I decided, all right, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to be a CrossFit trainer. And I just looked up CrossFit gyms in our area in Ohio, and I found this little gym. It was brand new. It's in the basement of this MMA fighting building, and
that's how you know you're doing it.
It was probably as big as this room.
Also typical CrossFit back in the day. MMA and CrossFit was connected.
And the owner,
dirty gym.
It was scary. I did not like to be the first one there in the morning because it's dark and you have to open up stuff. But the owner, his name was Mitch, and he's another person that kind of changed the path of my life. And I'm always
shout out Mitch.
I'm always thankful for him for he didn't know me or
gave you an opportunity.
We it was, the gym started out as this little tiny room, and now it's, he doesn't own it anymore, but it's Centerville CrossFit. It's this huge gym in Ohio. There's hundreds of members. He grew it from nothing to huge. And I'm thankful that I was able to be on that journey because that helped me grow as a coach too, just getting that experience. I feel like we can go to school for kinesiology or physical therapy or nutrition, but having the experience and the hands-on stuff is really where you learn.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is where I learned the most. You take different courses, and even now, I mean, everything has changed over the last, 11 years since I graduated, to where like the things that I learned in school, they don't apply to anything that we're using now, but the 11 years of experience since then, and some of the things I was doing wrong, learning from those mistakes, and then also learning from the things that I did well. But you alluded to this a few minutes ago, like the failures are only failures if you let them be, right?
Yeah.
Like if we learn from those things, and we can kind of continue to figure out how to be better coaches, better spouses, better parents, which obviously both of us now have had to deal with that over the last, however many, you more so than I, but I think all of those things kind of allowed each of us as coaches at Training Think Tank to become better coaches, because we've done a good job of learning from the failures that we've had, not getting big heads on the successes that we've had, and figuring out what the best path forward is.
Oh, for sure.
So Adam, was he also coaching at the same time, or what was he doing during that 2007 period?
Yeah, I think he started out and he worked as an electrical engineer for a bit, didn't like it. We both we were just drawn towards training, and we both loved it. And he actually ended up working at Centerville too for a while. I mean, awesome. You know him, he is thoughtful and insightful, and he has like a presence, and they wanted him to work there too. So we worked together for a while. Yeah. And this was then, Owen was born in 2012. We had our little garage gym set up, and it was Adam who wanted to have our own gym. And he had like the foresight and the confidence and like the brains. He knew that we could do it. So we started in our garage. We still worked at that CrossFit gym. And then I think Owen was around 1 or 1.5 maybe when we decided we were going to do it on our own. We were going to get our own space and stop working at that gym. And again, it's all Adam. He like researched, he found the place, he got some of our current clients to be like investors. So we had money to go. We got equipment, and that was our gym, Dayton Strength and Conditioning. It's still there. We still own it. It's still our gym.
I have been there before.
Yeah. It's our little like pride and joy that, when we moved down here, I didn't want to get rid of it. We had members and people who still go there. So Adam's sister, Sarah, she runs it for us.
That's
now.
so awesome. So are you still pretty close with the members that are there?
No, we go back. We don't know anybody anymore.
Because it's just kind of, so everyone weird, funnels through.
Right? Yeah, it's been, we've been down here, 6 years now.
You know how high schools do reunions? It'd be fun if like the OG CrossFit gyms would do like 10-year reunions. Like what happened to everybody?
It is. Yeah, that actually would be cool.
I really want to talk to people who like were really invested in the community at one point and now are completely divorced. Like maybe they train and go to a Globo, but like just someone who was totally in and now hasn't touched it. I'm curious their story.
I have some friends that are similar to that, the gym that I co-own down in Florida, but a lot of those people still are in a CrossFit gym. So, that gym closed down after we left, but there are tons of gyms in South Florida. So they jumped on, into another gym or another style of training that's similar to that. I think people love that, and the community, right? Like I still have really close friends that are down there because, you're kind of the sweat and the hard work that you put in with them, or the connections you make as a coach and an athlete. And so I think it's a pretty special experience. That's why I was asking but I know that people just kind of move on, especially I would assume in that area where people kind of are in and out, right?
There's an Air Force base.
That's right. That's what I was going to say.
People are in and out. Yeah.
Those types of people maybe come into the gym, they're there for a year or 2 years, and then they maybe get, they move somewhere else and that kind of happens.
But we go and they know Training Think Tank. They will follow up the like Instagram accounts or watch videos and like, we saw you at blah, blah, blah. So there's a couple of people that we still know from before we left, but the majority of people, they don't know us. I'll go in there, I'm riding the bike, I'm
nice
warming up,
you.
blah, blah. Hi, I'm like, I don't say this, but like, I own this gym. You don't know me. Hi.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I'm going to ride the bike.
Yeah.
Just going to keep doing this. So how did you go from owning Dayton Strength and Conditioning to meeting Max? Because I think that's kind of the genesis of the Training Think Tank story.
So again, it goes back to Adam. And he started out recreational CrossFit, and then he wanted to do competitions. And this was, again, how many years ago? I think it was sectionals, right?
Yeah,
like this is before the Open. This is even
it's
before
changed
the
so
Open.
much. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't even know what we're doing now.
This is CrossFit history, people. Like, it was Rogue Fitness was in Columbus, Ohio, in this little warehouse, and they would hold sectionals in their parking lot.
Right.
And that was like the first CrossFit competition that we ever went to. So
and now their facility is amazing.
Again, look at that growth. I'm so impressed by them because we were there at the beginning.
Dude, let me shout out those people because at the games this past week or 2 weeks ago, the people working their booth were like Chick-fil-A people where
incredible.
They were on it. They were the happiest, smiling, like they didn't look like they hated their lives. I mean, maybe they drugged them. I don't know, but well
That's
done,
okay.
Ro.
No, they're amazing. And they build new facilities and
wrong.
they like create jobs for people.
That's the
I
thing.
just think it's amazing.
When everything was going on with CrossFit a year and a half ago, whenever it was, I actually one of the companies that I was hoping would take it over was Rogue.
Yeah,
because
same.
I feel like, I mean, they
probably just don't have to. They're balling so hard.
They got their
Well, now they
stuff,
work with so many colleges and universities, you know, a ton of the SEC schools that I follow, which are huge football schools and other sports, but because football has so much money, they've fitted their entire facilities with Rogue equipment.
Amazing.
And that's crazy money.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, like I said, Adam did a competition in their parking lot.
Right. Exactly.
Like, that's where they started.
And that's what, 10 years ago, right? 9 years ago? So
even longer than that.
12,
Probably
13, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My
Very
guess is that
long.
would have been 2010.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
even
9.
2010, so in a decade plus a year,
Yeah.
they've changed that much. They've grown that much.
It's
pretty
amazing.
Awesome.
So the evolution of CrossFit, and then they created the Open. So
Right.
you do the Open, and then you go to, I don't know what it was called, but you did your online competition, then you went to the weekend competition, and then something else, games, that order. Adam always did well in the Open, and he always made it to that weekend competition. They would have it in Columbus usually. It was the year that Owen was born. He was born in April. The competition was in May.
Oof.
So we brought him, right? This little baby. Owen did awesome. He slept the whole time. You know how they are when they're little.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember, we watched
We did that
Adam.
with Kinsley
Yeah.
for regionals the last year that it was in West Palm, by the way,
Yeah,
which I was terrified of taking her down there because I had a ton of athletes, but she was same
They
thing. She
sleep.
slept.
It's
Yeah,
like
so
white
awesome.
noise to them. It was
Yeah.
awesome. So it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? And Friday he did well, Saturday. And I just remember, you watch them, it's that last day of competition, and it was hard. He just looked like hit a wall.
Right.
It was a thruster, double under ladder, I think. And I remember thinking, like just looking at him doing those thrusters, and he failed a bar early on that, like, I think he didn't think he would have. And so I knew how important CrossFit and his performance was. And at that point he was just following like blog programming, right? I mean, there were probably like 2 blogs to choose from back then, not as many as there are now, but that blog also had individualized coaching. So I decided that I was going to get him that like a gift. Like, I know
Thoughtful
this is
wife.
important to you. I want you to succeed in what you want to do. So I've got him like a gift certificate for like a year of programming, and it was with Max.
Not cheap either.
No, I mean, my parents helped too.
Yeah.
But it was with Max. So
Nice.
that's where it started, was them working together for a long time.
Right.
He was his coach.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And then at what point did you realize, like, okay, Max is, and maybe you weren't even in contact with, maybe it was Adam. I'm sure he can answer this probably better, but at what point did Adam then realize that Max was special? And I don't mean that to boost Max's head if he's watching this, but he is. There's something unique about Max's vision.
I think they had a really good relationship from the start, and I think that Max is always going to be honest with you.
Right.
And I think Adam appreciated that. And I think just the back and forth between them over the years was really helpful. I saw Adam grow as an athlete, and I was very glad that I did that. I'm glad that Max is a part of our lives. And then whenever he left where he was coaching, and he went to Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he opened his own business, and he asked Adam to be a part of it, to be one of his coaches.
Right.
So that's kind of where things went for a while. And then Max, they decided to move here, and he knew that we were up in Ohio, and he knew that Adam had a wife and kids. And I don't know how the conversation went between them when it was first brought up, but it was basically like, you guys both move down here, and I'll hire Becky, and we want everybody to be down here. And that's kind of where it went from there.
Yeah. I mean, that is obviously the same conversation. Well, I didn't have a wife or kids at the time, but that was the same conversation I had with Max. And for me, it was an easy decision because I believed in what Max was doing. He explained his vision. I was on board 1,000,000%. And so that was a no-brainer. For you guys, obviously you
Hold on,
won.
went Kyle, Ruth, then who? You were
Kyle, Ruth,
Kyle and
Adam.
Adam.
Yep.
And then you, right?
Yeah.
And then Evan, maybe?
number 3. Brandon was number 3. Not
Yeah, I
bad.
don't know.
Or were you number 3? Did you come on at the same time?
No, we had talked about it, but I wasn't like official until we were down here. And you were already here by
Yeah.
then, and Evan was already here by then, I think.
I don't know if Evan was here yet, but
maybe.
at some point right after that.
Yeah.
For you and Adam, obviously having a kid plus having family in Dayton, 2 kids.
Caleb was
my
around
goodness,
by
that's
then.
right. Yeah. Well, he was like just born.
He was not even a year old.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 kids and family in Dayton. I assume, and I could be wrong, but I assume that was a much more challenging, or at least that you had to have a thoughtful decision on whether it made sense for you to come down.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like for you guys?
I think that was probably like the biggest life decision that we had to make up to that point. Kids weren't like, oh, sure, let's do it. But it was, the natural process, right? Married, kids. Like you said, we were going to literally upheave, whatever the word is, change everything, move away from family. And it all comes back to just Adam being so confident about it, and Adam believing in the vision and feeling like this was the best way to help us grow as coaches, is to be around everyone down here. And, the running theme of my life, I feel like, is if Adam is like confident and believes in it, then I'm in, if he believes we can do it, we can do it. And we did it. We packed up our stuff. We came down here. Yeah. And I think it was it was not something that I ever would have thought to do on my own. I'm very much, this is the path, like just stay on it. Yeah. You don't need to go over here. Things are fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. And Adam's always been the one to nudge us off of it, but it's always been with really good results.
Were there challenges once you guys moved down? Like, were you missing family? Was it hard with the kids on your own? I know that it's tough when both of you are working and you're trying to watch 2 young kids.
Yeah, no, it was hard. I think I was really stressed out about a lot of it. And a lot of my stress was more from the personal side. So Caleb was not even 1 year old at the point. And I was just feeling very insecure about myself and how I looked, right? I'm going to be this trainer for people. I have to look a certain way. And, I also I don't like to ask for help. So I was a mom. I was just a mom. And this is what I do. I take care of the kids. They didn't really go away from us when they were younger. I watched them. I was mom, and I would train for maybe an hour and a half, and then I was mom, and that was it. So the first, year, it was super stressful. And a lot of that, looking back, a lot of that is just, I put it on myself, and I made it harder than it could have been, but that's how I was back then. Yep. I wanted to do everything. And again, it took me a lot of time. Now that I can look back on it, I see it was a struggle, but it was just what needed to happen then to be where I am now. I learned a lot, I messed up a lot, but that's how you learn. And
what would you do differently now, thinking back? Because I have clients that are moms, or my wife, a mom of 2 who's trying to balance work, and she watches the kids way more than I do because of just the schedule that we have. What kind of advice would you give to someone that's in that boat that you were in 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think it would be ask for help. And
hard to do though, right?
And I'm trying, I try to think why was I like that? I'm still kind of like that now. Right. And I think it's just more they're the kids are my responsibility. And I don't want someone to have to deal with them crying, or they're not eating, or they're stubborn, or they won't go to sleep, but I think that's the hardest part is your identity it changes, right? I went from an athlete in college to a wife and a gym owner to a mom, and it's always changing, and you don't know how to deal with it when it's brand new. So you do your best. You think this is how I have to do it. This is all I know. I'm going to do it. And then you look back and you're like, well, I probably should have done it a little bit differently for my own mental health, And I think asking for help and being okay with having someone babysit them or asking Adam to stay home for an hour so I could do something. But I never did it.
Yeah. I always feel like it's so weird in these situations, because in one breath you just said all these mistakes you made taught you and made you the person you are. And then when you ask these hypotheticals, not just you, but you hear it on shows and podcasts all the time, or interviews, and in general, it'll be like, well, what would you do different? And then whatever your answer may be. And then I'm always wondering like, well,
maybe you wouldn't.
Didn't the things that you say like
taught
you did wrong
Yeah.
taught you and that was good?
Yeah.
And there's that famous, I think, William Blake quote, a fool who persists in his folly becomes wise. And I'm like, is that just not the path that like let people make their mistakes and hope that they...
No, let me tell you, being a parent, that is like lesson number one right there is let them screw up, you know?
Right. Like, don't steal a mistake from them.
And that, you know, it's easy to say, oh, I wish I would have gone to school to be a chiropractor. I wish I would have gone to school for nutrition. But if I did that, I wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
And like we talked about at the beginning, messing up and failing is how you learn about yourself. Very few people, I think, get it right on the first time.
Yeah. Well, not to mention, there is no manual with your kids, right? They like give them to you, say, okay, go home. And I'm like, oh my God, what do we do? How do we keep this thing alive?
Yeah, no.
It's terrifying.
A lot of it is, okay, I reflect on my life and I reflect, you know, because you can see yourselves in them, right? Like you can see your own behaviors.
Even more now as they grow up, the personality.
It gets worse.
I know.
So I see how they act. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me.
Yep.
And then I think, I don't want them to have the same hangups that I do as I'm older. So then you learn, you try to make it different for them. And the biggest thing I think that I've learned, you know, like I said, everything in life came really, really easy for me until it was so hard and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with hard grad school and persevering through something that I just didn't want to do. And I think that's the biggest thing is that I want Owen and Caleb to learn is you have to fail. You have to do things you're not good at and you have to struggle because that is when you learn.
Yeah.
Y'all are parents. Do you feel like this generation is not doing that as much? I mean, it seems like here I am, old man yelling at clouds, but does it feel like that it's just getting softer or is that just a projection that I'm putting onto does it feel like we're like raising kids softer and softer and softer?
Yeah.
And you're not even meaning to?
I think it's a fine line. You know, I think of like when you say softer, like I don't mean like the dad who's like screaming at their kid at sports, like do better, you know what I mean? But I do mean like, yes, I think as parents, you want your kids to have easy lives. You don't want to see them like cry or be emotional. But then I think like, that's how I was. I didn't want to cry or be emotional. And then look at me now, you know, like not that I'm this horrible person, but there's stuff that I wish that I had learned when I was younger. And I don't know if it's this generation or what it is, but I do think a lot of people don't really want to introspect and like think on their own past and behaviors and their habits and why they are the way that they are. And one thing that has helped me do that is with like nutrition coaching. And that's all about habits and behaviors. Oh. But when you start really thinking and you start questioning why and well, why and why, and then you get real deep in there and you're like, okay, well, this is where it comes from. I don't want my kids to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, because it takes years to figure some of that stuff out. Yeah. So really, I think, you know, going back to whatever we were talking about before, it's just the struggle is like how you grow.
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of nutrition, Becky is our resident nutritionist at Training Think Tank. I know I've referred quite a few of my athletes, hey, if you're having issues with this, then go talk to Becky. And some of them are still with you. So how did you get into that? And I actually personally am interested to know how many nutrition clients you're working with versus like normal training clients right now.
It's about the same. It's about 50-50.
Yeah.
I think I have like 25 of each, but my relationship is different.
Right.
You know, like training, not that it's not emotional, but you type up their training, you send it off, you give them feedback, boom.
Yeah.
Nutrition, what I've come to learn as I've gone through it and I work with people, it's not so black and white. It's not just numbers. It's life experience basically. And I think what got me into it was actually Max. Like, I think he told me when we were going to move down here was he wanted me to kind of learn about that more and have that be one of the things that I could help with.
Right.
And what got me into it besides that, so I did like precision nutrition. That was like the school side of things, right? But what really helped me the most was after I had Caleb, is I worked with somebody on my nutrition. His name is Mike Castelli, and he works or owns Nova 3 Labs, and he's another huge influential person in my life. He was my coach, my nutrition coach for about 6 months after I had Caleb, and I learned a lot from him. And then I basically like talked him into a mentorship. So
Nice.
he would help me with people that I worked with, and he taught me a lot. Then it's just like one of those things you learn by doing. So you kind of just start.
Yeah.
You don't have the answers yet, and you start and you learn along the way. And I read a lot of books, and what I've come around to is like, it's about habits and emotions and how you grew up and your thoughts around everything. It doesn't really have to do with the food sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost more so getting someone to buy into maybe the habits, getting rid of habits, adding habits that they have or don't have, the emotional side of eating and maybe the way that someone looks, as opposed to it being about the here are your macros.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong in that? Yeah.
100%.
It's funny because I have so many clients, I've had this in the past too, that come on and they say that they have specific performance goals, but the end of that conversation always leads to, but I need to look a certain way. And that's also fine. Like I have no problem with that. But to me, I wanted to kind of dive deeper and say, which one's more important? Because I don't know if those go together. So I'd kind of like your feedback on that. Like, how do you handle someone that says, hey, I want to make the CrossFit games, but I also like need to look this certain way and I want to make sure that I stay super lean? Like, is there a way to do both of those at the same time? Or is it more like we have to focus on one over the other?
I think it's just hard. And I think people have unrealistic expectations. One, of what their body can look like, and
Right.
two, of what it would take to get there. And I think that most people want to look a certain way until they start doing the things that it takes to get them there. And then they reevaluate, and getting really, really lean, but also killing yourself doing CrossFit. It's just hard for your body to do that, because to get lean, you can't really eat enough to fuel your performance.
Right.
And the people who look really lean probably are just genetically gifted in that they're going to look like that.
I was going to say genetic gifts aside, would doing CrossFit as a training program be the quickest, fastest way to best training to get lean?
No.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say, right? I have people that want to lean out, and then I broach the subject of, well, maybe you need to change the way that you're training. You can't beat yourself up and put your body under stress, because training is stress. You can't do that every day. Why don't you try just like bodybuilding and lifting? And that's a very hard mental shift for a lot of people.
Well, I think one of the challenges too is you see the people that maybe are at the top, like a Rich Froning is a good example.
He's going to look like that all the time.
I mean, he's shredded. He looks great. He still performs at one of the highest levels. I mean, the highest team level. And so people are like, well, why can't I look like that and also perform like him? But I would say he's like an anomaly, right? Like he's the exception.
Well, I mean,
to the
look
rule.
at Fraser. Not that he's like out of shape looking guy, but he's now doing bodybuilding. It looks like, and his sole goal is to actually finally look like he trains.
To get jacked, but he didn't need to be jacked or look lean to be a high performer. I mean, Fraser's the best male. He's, in my opinion, he's much more dominant than Rich ever was, and a better CrossFitter, but he didn't look the same way.
Yeah.
You watch your fucking mouth.
It's the truth, man. Like, I know people may get butthurt about that. It's very true.
I'm going to be one of them.
But going back to that, I think one of the challenges that I've had with the nutrition industry, and I just don't even get on like social media anymore. And that's one of the reasons people wonder why I never post anything. I just hate it. To me, it's just like a black hole of just disgust.
I agree.
Outside
it really
of that,
is like a fucking trash can.
It's awful, man. But I see nutritionists on there, and that's probably not the right word, but people that do nutrition, that are nutrition coaches or whatever, that are always saying like, just eat whatever you want on these times, but then, you have to have a strict diet here, or the opposite of that. Like, no, you have to have this very strict diet all the time. It's like everyone has their dogma.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts because it's always just like my way is the right way, if that makes sense. Where is that balance? How do you balance that out when people come to you that have been jumping around from one nutrition coach to the next, or they've said, well, this is what I've tried and it's worked really well for me in the past, doing hard CrossFit and intermittent fasting, or, hey, I did paleo, or I've been doing a keto diet and hard CrossFit. And how do you balance those things out, or how do you help educate them and say that might, or maybe it is the best way, but that might not be the best way. That might be the best way.
Yeah. I mean, well, if they come to me and they're like, well, this worked in the past, and I'm like, well, it obviously didn't work because you're here. It worked for 3 months and now it's not. And with nutrition, even with programming too, because most of my clients they just want to look and feel good about themselves. They're not athletes that have certain goals that they need to meet. I tell them that everything that they do, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be something you can do for forever. And it needs to be something that fits into your life, because if it's hard, you're not going to do it for a very long time.
Right.
So when it comes to food,
and there might be a time and place for that if you got.
For sure. Yeah. And that's the thing I tell them, just because it's your life is like this now doesn't mean 6 months later it'll be different. And I feel like, I tell them I have this perspective because, again, you have kids and things change every 3 months, and then pretty soon they're 6 and 9 and you're like a different person.
Right.
So everything goes in phases, and you have to be able to have your priorities. And really, I feel like we can only focus on maybe like 3 things and do really good at them. When you try to do 10 things at once, it all is awful and nothing you're proud of. So with food and training and family, that's like about 3 things right there that you can focus on. And
that's already a lot too.
Yeah, sometimes work has to take the place of something else. And just because you can't focus on it right now doesn't mean that it's not like something we can do later. But in the whole grand scheme of things, the way that you eat and the way that you train, and it has to be something that you can do and that you don't have to think about it so much.
Yeah.
And for some people, they can weigh and measure everything and they're fine with that. Some people, that just adds so much more to their day, it's not worth it. So we find strategies that work for them. And something that I've come around to in the last couple of years is I really don't think that weighing and measuring is something that people should do for their entire lives. It's not what I thought when I first started. I thought you need to be accurate and precise to have the body composition that you want, right? But that's years of doing that. That's kind of disordered behavior after a while. You get dependent on the numbers. You get dependent on the MyFitnessPal telling you what to eat. So I try to get people away from that more. You have your goals. Let's get you to a weight that you want or a performance level that you want. And once you get there, let's work on just living instead of doing
And wouldn't
that.
it get easier? Like, okay, this is how much, like I love oatmeal. This is how much oatmeal that I would weigh. So I can put the scoops in, not have to worry about it. And I'm still within the boundaries of like what would be correct.
Right. People,
but also you have a reference because you've weighed and measured before.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
You learn it. You kind of need that to know amounts. Right. But then I think people get trapped by it and they don't trust themselves anymore. And
it's the same thing with training. Like I see it with people that are kind of phasing out of the sport of CrossFit. Is still like, I need to go hard.
They don't know what to do.
A ton.
Yeah.
Or like let's get into bodybuilding, but then they always go back to, let's do really hard circuits so that I can still feel like I'm breathing and getting beat up. And they like the soreness. They almost like the sleepless nights because they're so messed up.
Yeah.
So it's like phasing them out of that and teaching them that there's probably other ways that you can do this. And I love how you say, sustainability is probably the most important thing, because we get everyone in this sport, it seems like, is type A. Like they just want to go hard all the time and they want to get into the gym and push themselves, but that is not sustainable for 40, 50 years. And if you want to be like, one of the things I always think about is when I'm 60 and 70, I want to play with my grandkids. Like I want to be able to do, and not to get like super emotional, but I want to do the things that my dad can't do right now because he's older and a little bit, he has a bad back and knees and everything. So he can't run around. I want to be able to do those things so that I can do it with my kids and then my grandkids and have a healthy life so that I can do things that I also want to do. Play golf when I'm 65 or 70 and not have pain. So finding a sustainable training plan and nutrition plan will lend itself for me later on in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Just learning how to do other things and be okay with evolving as a person. We're not always going to be athletes who spend 2 hours in the gym, and we're not always going to be somebody who has to weigh and measure food because they need to weigh a certain amount. And, I don't know how to say it. It's not like getting to the goal is easy, right? But like after you reach your goal, that's the hard part, is what do I do now? Because you have this focus for 6 to 8 weeks and you get there, and then what? You don't keep doing that same thing because that was certain behaviors to get you there. How do you then manage the rest of it? And that's the stuff that I really like talking to people about, because that's hard. You're not really working on anything anymore, but how do you still stay the course? Yeah.
So what are the differences between, let's say, like I've sent you a couple people that are competitive in the sport, a semifinal athlete, a couple that have made sanctionals in the past. How do you coach them on their nutrition? And I know it's different from athlete to athlete, but just in general terms, versus the person that comes to you that's maybe is the soccer mom and says, hey, I just had my 3rd child and I want to get back in shape.
Yeah. Yeah. The athletes, not that they're easier, but it's kind of more straightforward, right? Make sure that they're eating enough and then kind of educate them on what it feels like if they're not eating enough. Right. So
is that hard? I find that people think that they're eating enough and they say that, no, I feel fine. I'm full or whatever. I have energy. But then if you like really dive into it, they don't.
Well, I think that I kind of just assume that most people aren't eating enough, especially if they do hard CrossFit. And so what I do is I just start having them eat a little bit more each week. And we kind of go by, well, performance will feel good, sleep will feel good, they'll have energy, but really we kind of go by like, well, what's your weight doing? We don't want it to get like ballooned up, but I have some people, and I don't want to stereotype, but it's usually women who can eat 200 more calories than what they are and their weight doesn't change. And they feel awesome and they hit PRs.
Was Mia one of those?
Mia was one of them.
I know
Meg is one of them.
Yeah,
Allie was one of them.
Allie has like eaten way more and then leaned out. It's incredible.
Yeah, those are the lucky ones. They eat more and lean out. It doesn't always happen.
No.
All those markers.
But it's because they're probably their activity matched, right?
Yeah. It's kind of a little bit more, not that your metabolism speeds up, but like you feel like you have more energy, so you can move more, so you can give more to training and more you can walk. Right. Yeah. So that's usually my first step with the athletes is let's just try to eat more and see what we get away with. And then they're good. You know, they eat more, they're 300 calories higher. They feel awesome. And then we kind of just go by, well, do you have a competition? What are you doing in training? Do we need to adjust anything? But I feel like with my athletes, they're just kind of like, we check in, they know what to do. They don't really need me all that much. I'm just the accountable person. Right. Like, this is how last week went. We're good. Let's bump up. Okay, done. The soccer mom or those people, we might not even talk about food. We just talk about life and why do you feel like you need to snack or why don't you eat breakfast, stuff like that. The emotional side, the habits, the behaviors. I think most of those kind of people, they snack at night and they don't want to. So we have to figure out why that happens. And it's not just as simple as we'll stop doing that. Right. Right.
Yeah. Like, if it was that easy, we would all do it.
Everybody would do it. So it's like, it gets kind of uncomfortable because you kind of have to examine your emotions. And when we moved here, that was me. Caleb wasn't even one and I was stressed out and I could plow through a box of Cheez-Its, right? And I'm like, why am I doing this? I would get so mad at myself. And it took me, again, reading books, trying to become a better coach. And then you read this stuff and you're like, oh, that's me. And it's like, I am stressed out. I'm lonely. I'm bored. I'm with my kids all the time. It's stuff like
no real conversations.
Once you can learn where the behavior is coming from, then you can change it. It's kind of like realizing that you're in control versus like, oh, this is happening to me and I can't get out of it.
I think that goes back to you learn from your own experiences and then that helps you be a better coach. You went through all of that, and especially with the women that have had children that are trying to get back, and just as an aside, it's amazing what women have to go through now, seeing it twice and all. I mean,
we're superheroes.
Yes, you very much are. And so to be able to go from having 2 kids to now, I've seen your journey and how hard you train in the gym. And I don't mean just beating yourself down, like just being very conscious of what you do and your nutrition. It's been pretty awesome to watch your journey. But because of that, because of your struggles, you've become a better coach, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I say this with confidence to anybody who was like where I was 8 years ago, 6 years ago. I feel like I am the best version of myself that I've ever been. What's that quote? The youth is wasted on the young, right? Like I wish that I had known all of this when I was 20 years old, So not that I'm trying to like change people, but like, that's what I try to pass on is that not like I've been there and whether it's trying different diets like paleo or zone or whatever else there was, I've been there. Whether it's trying to fit in training with 2 kids, I've been there. It's not being happy with how you look, I've been there, so I feel like that's what helps me help other people is I'm on the other side of it. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel and I can give that encouragement.
Yeah. So what does the day-to-day look like now for both you and Adam? Because I know that, both of you you just said, you have a ton of clients. Adam has a full load of clients, a lot of high level athletes that he's working with. Plus you both are helping with Design 60 and other projects that we have going on and 2 kids. What does it look like on a day-to-day level to get in your training, your work, plus be a mom, plus be a wife, all of those things together?
Well, the kids are in school now, so it's a lot easier, right? We got 6 hours of of free time.
What about during COVID?
Yeah, that I feel like, another, when you think of the huge moments in your life, going through that changed me so much.
Figure things out fast.
Right? And the biggest thing that I learned was I don't need to be in the gym for 2 hours to feel my goals. My goals right now, I want to look good. I'm not like vain, I'm vain enough to say I want to look good.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I'm improving still. And I think that improving can be just little things, right? Like I can do an extra hollow rock that I couldn't do before, It's little things like that are important to me. And having to teach my kids school, basically when they were virtual, we couldn't go to the gym. The gym was closed for how many weeks, right? So I had some dumbbells, a box, and stuff in the garage. And I realized that's all I need, that's all I need to be fulfilled from the athlete perspective and the training perspective. And then that just opened up so much more time in the day. I could hang out with the kids longer. I made them work out with me sometimes too. So they're in school now, and basically our schedule is we drop them off, we come home. I like to work early, so I try to get my work done early. I am not productive towards the end of the day. So I try to get that out of the way. Adam and I sometimes will train together. We both program for Design 60, and we're both kind of in that part of our lives right now where that's enough. We like training. We can get a lot accomplished in an hour. We relate to the people that we program for, so it kind of helps us.
Yeah, it's like our GPP program.
Yeah.
For doing kind of like if you join a CrossFit class almost.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so we get it done in 60 minutes. Yeah. And again, that's so much more time.
And I'm very similar to both of you in that I've realized over especially the last 2 or 3 years now that, Kinsley's 3. So since she's been born, that I've had to protect certain priorities and then reorganize the rest of those. And one of those was just training, just went from maybe, 2 or 3 on that list to now 5 or 6. And that's not a bad thing. It actually has ended up being a very healthy thing for me because I feel better. I have more energy. I can focus more on my wife and kids and then work. But it also still allows me to make the growth that I want to in the gym. Like you said, I think one of the really cool things, not to go off tangent, but you mentioned this a second ago. And I think people that are listening to this, even if you're a high level performer, having those smaller goals, the extra hollow rock.
Oh, for sure.
It brings so much more joy to your training and gets you excited to go into the gym on a daily basis. I think when we have these huge goals, I need to make the CrossFit Games. I need to get a podium spot. I want to make Wadapalooza Elite or whatever it is for those people. They get so caught up in that, they lose the day-to-day joy that they should have. And then it just becomes like misery for 9 months out of the year until you get to the season.
Yeah.
So for me to have those little ones, for me, it's just been like, oh, I want to, focus on bike training. We did the ski and bike. I know you're in the middle of it right now, but I did that before everyone in the design did it. And that was a goal for 8 weeks. I was like, I'm just going to train this for 8 weeks and see if I can beat my, last time or whatever. And I did. And it was like, yes, that's all I needed for that 8 weeks.
I mean, you think about sports, right? At the end of the season, there's one winner and a bunch of losers,
exactly.
And if you are only caring about that outcome, you're going to be a very sad, disappointed person. There's more losers than winners in this world, and you have to be okay with that and be willing to find little moments that are wins along the way.
For sure. I agree totally. I also am a morning worker, so I completely understand.
Yeah.
How do you, and Adam, so I know that sometimes when the kids aren't in school, you're at home watching them. Adam comes in and does his work with the things that he needs to do at the gym. And you guys kind of balance that back and forth. Do you guys have a set schedule? Is it more just day to day? Okay, what do you have? What do I have? What calls do you have?
Well, so on Sunday, I send out an email. This is what our week looks like, right?
I love it.
If there's appointments and stuff.
Yeah.
You send out an email to Adam?
To Adam.
Yeah. Adam, this is what I have.
Are you on the couch next to him when you send it?
Usually, right? So
he needs that.
Yeah, he says he appreciates it. I'm not sure how often he reads it because sometimes I say that was in the email and he doesn't remember. But in the summer, that's what it's like. And what has helped me a ton is to kind of let go of my expectations around training. And that's not a bad thing. I used to be the person who, if I couldn't do everything on that list of training that whoever would write for me, I might as well not go to the gym.
I know.
It's a waste.
That's
I can't get everything done.
Frequent thing that you hear, and I'm like, why are people that
I was crazy about it. And Adam understood, and he was so supportive, and he would watch the kids and let me get my training in. And he was there with me when I would get upset when I was pregnant and I couldn't do stuff. And he was there when I would get upset if I didn't have time or I had to cut something short. And So he still kind of has that in the back of his mind, like Becky needs her workout time. But I think I've grown a ton in the last couple of years, and I let it go. If I can't get into the gym one day, it's okay. It's not going to.
That's what I wanted to get to in that question. I think that is so important for all of us. Even if you're a high level performer, some days aren't going to be your best days, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, you just got to roll with it. Yeah. I'm not good at that. And again, shout out to Adam Rogers for helping me do that. Yeah, because I used to be super obsessive about stuff like that. Yep. And it just made me like a not happy person.
Me too. Yeah. I was so obsessed. Like I could miss one rep of a set. Right? I would be stressed out.
It would be so bad. Yeah. And I mean, again,
I guess I can identify actually, because like if you get like a Ben and Jerry's pint of ice cream and like you only eat some of it, like fuck all that.
So disappointed. Like sad.
Did you even eat the ice cream?
I mean, it's on the one hand, I am proud of that kind of dedication, right? Like when I go in, I'm all in. I will do this, and I don't care how long it takes, and I will work as hard as I need to, and I will go for it. But then on the other end, it's like you got to realize that sometimes it just can't be, and you got to be okay with that.
So moving forward, what are the short-term and long-term goals for yourself, for your family, and for your career at Training Think Tank?
I mean, I think personally, just in the last year or so, I felt more like Becky and not like mom, you know? And it's like an evolution, and I'm trying to figure out what that's like now. I feel stronger and more fit and more confident, right? Like when I in my 20s, I was just like this nervous, not confident person. And now I just feel a little bit more comfortable in my skin, I guess you say. And the kids are older and they don't need me as much. So I'm like, well, what do I do with myself now? Right. You know? And I just thought like just a couple months ago, I was like, you know, I would like to get back to playing soccer. Like we used to play on an adult league up in Dayton before I had kids. And Mia was talking about something out by where you guys live, I think.
Our sister-in-law is in a very competitive league.
So I was like, I have not kicked a soccer ball with intent in like 9 years, but like I kind of want to, you know? So that's awesome. Like my thing is I want to try to just be not be the person that I used to be, you know, but just like remember the stuff that was just me and not mom, me or wife, me, you know? So that's kind of where I am on a personal level. I think on a training level, you know, I always have goals of, you know, like that strict muscle up or I still want to be able to do strict handstand push-ups. I want to be able to do CrossFit-y things if I have to, but it's not like my driving force when it comes to training. So I just want to train hard and when I can and do stuff that I enjoy and then things here and there that I'm not so great at. But that's why I'm thankful that, you know, we're all here and we have the design stuff that I can pull from, and Design 60 gets me stuff with, you know, that's timed that I'm not in the gym for forever and I can get it done. And, you know, on a parental level, I just want to make sure that my kids are happy and kind and, you know, they're willing to put in hard work when they need to. And like I said, I don't want things to be easy for them. I want them to learn how to struggle and come out the other end.
Yeah. You and Adam have done a great job with them.
We're trying. It's like you said, like, we don't know what we're doing. Yeah.
It's so funny. And those that know both Owen and Caleb, they're so different, but also have very similar little things that they do, but it's just crazy the personality. And the same thing with ours, like Kinsley and Levi. Now that Levi's starting to like talk and move around a little bit, his personality is completely different than Kinsley's. I'm like, where did they get this from? I don't get it. I know.
And the funny thing is, you'll notice this in the next couple years as they get older. But like stuff that Owen does, I'm like, oh, that was me. I'm sorry, Adam. That was me.
Adam's like, yep.
Yeah. So I can see a lot of myself in him, and that's why, you know, I relate to him more, and I try to push him more, you know, not that I don't want him to end up like me, but there's just so many things that I just want him to learn before.
You see those things.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. What about with your career? Just like as a coach, nutrition, training, what are you thinking? What are the main goals that you have for the next, 5-10 years?
Yeah. I think, like I said, I mentioned before, I'm like, I'll follow the path. Like, this is what I'll do. I'm not really someone who thinks like, this is what I need to do. It's something totally off the wall out of there. So I just want to help Train Think Tank, build it however it needs to be built. Whatever Max needs from us, I will always be one like, how can I help? What can I do? I think I'm in a good spot with training clients and nutrition clients. I really like both sides of it. I think we're in a good spot. So just however Train Think Tank evolves, I just want to do what I can to help it get there.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the vision that Max has laid out, and we have a lot of new things that we're doing. Some of the old things that we are going to revamp over this off season and continue to do that over the next couple of years. So I'm excited. I want to finish with some fun questions, just like we did with Travis the other day.
Oh boy.
They're not the same ones. The first one is, so we have 5 fun questions. This is rapid fire, but you can answer these as long as you want. I'm just going to say them quickly.
Okay.
All right. A movie is being made about the life of Becky Rogers. Who is playing you?
Gal Gadot, the Wonder Woman.
Gadot.
Gadot. I don't know. She has dark hair.
Let's Google it.
I was hoping you were saying Jennifer Aniston. I have a crush on her.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, you're a big stan for Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
You're a Jennifer Aniston.
How do you pronounce it?
Wonder Woman film. Casting. Why is this taking so long?
Can't you just Google her name? Yeah. Rapid fire.
Wonder Woman actress.
I mean, that's her name. I just don't know how to pronounce it.
Gal Gadot. I was right.
Oh. No. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
He's hooked on phonics.
Who's the man?
All right. You coach a lot of nutrition athletes, so you're telling them what to eat. If you had one day left to live and you could eat anything you want, what would your last meal be? No restrictions whatsoever.
It would be a big stack of pancakes with like peanut butter in between.
Oh, goodness. Do you put syrup or honey on that?
Probably syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
no
maple?
Butter. Yeah.
Dude, you're
Real
no butter.
I'm a no butter.
Fuck yeah. I'm always like, everyone's like, the butter's so good. Don't get me wrong. I'm a butter person.
Scrape it
I'm
off.
a butter person for sure, but not on my pancakes with the maple syrup. No, it's like,
I like the butter. I like peanut butter too. Like I would just go back and forth. Like if I had to eat pancakes every single day, it'd be peanut butter one day, butter the next. But the butter has to be real butter. Like I can't have like the stuff they put on at some of the chain restaurants. I'm not a fan of. All right. Real question. Who's better at soccer, you or Adam?
Adam. He's better than me at everything.
That's probably the case with most people.
It's taken me very long to be able to accept that, but he's just good at everything. Soccer. He's better at soccer. Yeah, for sure.
All right. You're an amazing mom. Moms in general are amazing for everything that they do. If you could have one superpower as a mom, though, what would that be? Like the thing that maybe it's like, I'll let you decide.
Oh gosh, this is so hard. Superpower, mom superpower. I wish that I would be able to say the right thing in the moment.
Yes.
You know, I say stuff, I think it's the right thing, and I don't know if it's the right thing. I wish I could know for sure this is what needs to be said in order to get the outcome that they want.
You're a good person, because I was thinking like I would just want to manipulate the situation, like make them do what I want them to do.
First I thought I would want to know what they're thinking. I would want to be able to read their mind, and then I was like, no, that's bad.
not at all.
Yeah, that would stress me out even harder.
All right, you are the end all be all of nutrition counseling. What would the one piece of advice be that you would give to the world on nutrition?
More is better. Eating more food is good. Carbs aren't bad. That kind of stuff.
I like it. Chris, any questions?
I don't know. Ask her another one where she has to like pick someone to like play her in a movie. Got any more like that? That was kind of fun.
That one,
Who would play Brandon in a movie?
No one.
No. Becky gets to answer.
They wouldn't make a movie.
I can't think of anybody who looks like Brandon.
Well, it doesn't have to look. You know.
That's all I did was I picked an actress that has long dark hair.
You thought of it fast. That was like.
Well, I was very excited for the second Wonder Woman movie to come out.
And then
I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah,
but the first Wonder Woman movie, the first movie, that's one of my favorite superhero movies. Yeah.
I do have another question that just popped in my head because I was talking to somebody about this. What's the strangest thing that you've ever seen in someone else's house?
What? Strangest? I mean, Max's new house.
Yeah, they do have some fun stuff. Yeah, probably something like that.
So
John's like lathe or whatever thing that he uses to polish the barbells. That's probably something strange.
I'll finish with an interesting story. So I was in college and I worked for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, where we did like speed camps and training for football players. And we went up to Green Bay, Wisconsin one year. And one of the donors, who's like this multimillionaire, had this beautiful house on the lake, whatever lake that is. It's the Green Bay area.
Yeah.
And we walk in, they give us a tour of the house. So like we're going down different hallways and everyone turns left down this one like long hallway with all these beautiful windows. And to the right's their master bedroom. So me and one of the other guys take a right into the master bedroom, which also has these huge windows overlooking the bay. And it's like just absolutely gorgeous. Well, I turn left and over their bed is this giant, like it had to be like 5 foot by 5 foot painting of the couple completely nude.
Wow.
I was like, oh.
What were they doing in the photo?
Just like laying there, like posing. It was the weirdest.
Was he packing that heat?
You knew he was going to ask that question.
I mean, if you get a painting of yourself, what do you go? Do you go small or how do you?
That's why it's a painting and not a picture.
Okay, Brandon.
Like,
if you were getting a painting of you, would you be?
We're gonna cut this off here. Becky Rogers, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks. This was fun.